Chapter 2, and this is the end of it. 2 enemies left on a map that started with 6, and this army has spent 4 videos walking down a mountain pass to reach them. Claude Opus 5 picks it up on turn 5. A unit is already picked up and the blue is spread wide. 39 squares, out past the burnt village in the west and down towards the sand in the south. 2 red figures on the board, one a few squares east of that blue, one further down at the foot of the pass. And away on the eastern grass, a green one, standing exactly where he has stood for 3 videos, on nobody's orders at all. 7 presses in one go, 5 east, 2 south, the whole of it decided off the picture in front of Claude and sent before the screen moves again. That is the commitment this series is built on. 1 frame, 1 gesture, and no look at the board until the last press of it has landed. 10 arrows is the most Claude is allowed, and it takes 7. The cursor stops on the bare square to the man's left, not on him. You never put the cursor on an enemy in this game, you put it beside him and let the menu offer you the fight. And the horses cross the whole pass in 1 move. Attack sitting at the top of the menu, which is the game agreeing there is something adjacent worth swinging at. Seth, the paladin who has carried every single video this channel has made. 100 to hit, 20 damage. The man in front of him has 20 health. So there is no second swing in that, and no counter either. And the orange bar is already sitting flat at 0. His own line read 25 to hit for 1 point of damage. That is what a cutthroat with an iron axe is worth against a paladin this early in this game. And it is the entire reason Claude sent him. 1 left on the counter, which has been coming apart for 4 videos and is now a single digit from finished. Seth finishes on 31 of 31, which is where he started and where he has finished very nearly every fight he has ever had on this channel. Next unit with orders, and Claude thinks it knows exactly who it has hold of. The Lord is the guess. 25 squares of blue and the last enemy alive, 3 tiles southwest of the edge of it. So the plan writes itself. Walk down to the square above the last man on the map, take the fight, and the chapter is over inside a minute. One left, 2 down, confirm. Down beside him, menu open, and Claude takes attack and the first weapon on the list, and then asks for the forecast rather than confirming through it, which is the whole trick. It is the habit this campaign built the hard way, over about 2 entire videos of getting it wrong. Read the box first. And the box answers a question that nobody had asked it. The name across the top of it is Franz, not the Lord. The Cavalier. Claude has walked Frams the length of that pass believing it was holding Erica, and this forecast is the first thing in 5 minutes to say otherwise. 23 health facing him, 9 damage coming back at 82. Franz on 16, hitting for 9 at 66, an even trade and neither of them falls over. And under the orange column, the game prints the man's name with his weapon on the line below it. Bone, iron axe. Free presses back and the move comes back with them. Out of the forecast, out of the weapon list, out of the menu, and Franz is standing where he started with his whole turn in hand. Because Claude has read that box and concluded that the last thing standing on this map is not a man at all. A revenant is the word it reaches for. Swinging a bone. The name in the orange bar is the man's name. The line under it, iron axe, is his weapon. Claude has taken the one for the other and built an entire monster out of the gap between them. And the retreat is still correct. 9 off 16 leaves Franz on 7, 23 health needs 3 swings to clear, and 7 will not survive a counter and then an enemy phase on top of it. One west, 5 north, out past anywhere a man on foot could reach him, which is the distinction that matters, and Claude has it the right way round. Not out of his reach where he is standing now. Out of it after he has marched, up once to wrap the highlight onto weight, and the cavalier holds the high ground on 16 of 20. Next in the queue, and the range that comes up with it, is a postage stamp. 17 squares, and most of them behind him. Gilliam. 25 health, an iron lance, and a suit of plate that eats most of his movement before he has taken a single step. Free squares down the pass, which is the whole of what he can do with a turn, and it puts him at the front of the column with the pass narrowing ahead of him. The idea is bait, and it is a good one. Stand the hardest thing in this army on the one square everything has to come past, and let the last man alive break himself on the armor. Item in weight, and nothing else on the menu, because the man at the bottom of the pass is still 2 squares off and out of everybody's reach. Weight taken, and the armor holds the front of the column on 25 of 25, which is where he is sat all chapter. Which is the quiet trouble with a unit built like that. He arrives late, he arrives alone, and the fight has usually moved somewhere else entirely by the time he gets there. Quiet stretch, so one small thing while it lasts. If you are still here, a like is the cheap way of saying so, and it does help this fine people. Right. 9 minutes. And the shape of this chapter has not changed in 4 videos. South, 1 unit a turn, and the mountains will not let it go any faster than that. And then a range that is not like the others. 102 squares, over the cliffs, over the ridge, across most of the map at once. Vanessa on the Pegasus. 6 times what the armor just managed, and the difference is not speed at all. It is that nothing on this map is in her way. Six presses straight down, over ground that 3 of these units cannot cross at all, onto a square 1 diagonal step away from the last man alive. A diagonal is 2 squares by the measure this game uses, which is the whole point of the square she has picked, and it is entirely about what she is carrying. Attack, and the javelin. It is the only thing in her pack that reaches 2 squares. An iron axe reaches 1. So she can throw at him and he cannot answer, and his half of the battle screen comes up as a column of dashes where the numbers should be. and the screen names him, Bone, an axe spider and 23 health, and the whole of what is left of this chapter. Which quietly settles the argument Claude has been having with itself for the last 6 minutes. Not a monster. A man with a name standing in a mountain pass with an axe. The javelin goes in and she comes down on 17 of 17 entirely untouched, exactly as the geometry said she would be. That is the trick video 5 ended on, and it works here for the same reason it worked then. Reach is a weapon's whole argument in this game, and hers is longer. Two units still have orders, and Claude goes looking for the priest. Mulder, 20 health, no weapon of any description at all, and a staff that is the only thing in this entire army that puts health back. Franz is standing on the square directly above him on 16 of 20, so the priest does not have to move anywhere to reach him. Confirming his own square is a legal move of no steps, which is how a healer acts without walking. Claude worked that out on camera 2 videos ago and wrote it down for itself. And while the staff is up, the board hands out a fight. Bone has come up the pass to the Pegasus. His iron axe reads 84 to hit for 9. Her bar goes from 17 down to 8. Her javelin answers at 16% and does not land. 9 points on the softest unit in this army, on a phase Claude was never going to be pressing anything into anyway. The banner sweeps, the turn comes round again, and the picture Claude is handed is the banner. So the account of the last 20 seconds, written a moment after they happened, is that the enemy phase passed without incident, which is a fair reading of the only frame Claude was given. The fight had been and gone before the shutter opened on it, and what it leaves behind is a Pegasus Knight parked beside an axe on 8 health, with nothing anywhere in Claude's world saying so, and nothing on the panel either. New turn, and the Cavalier is up first, healed back to full, with his blue stopping a long way short of the man at the bottom. Which is the grid answering a question rather than offering a move. He cannot get there. Claude puts him straight back down, with the turn still in hand, which costs nothing at all. And that is the right use of it. The blue is not a suggestion, it is the game telling you the truth about distance before you have spent a single thing finding out. Nobody in this army can reach the last man alive except by walking to him. So the armor goes instead, 2 squares down, onto the ground beside the boss, and a tag comes up at the top of the menu. Lance against axe. Claude says so out loud and says it is exactly why the forecast wants reading first this time. "23 health facing him, 6 damage coming back at 89, and Gilliam's own line reads 9 damage at 28. He misses that swing 7 times in 10, and the axe answers at nearly 9 in 10. And there the picture stops. The Claude that opened that box has run out of turns. and the forecast sits on the screen with nobody left in the room to read it. Most of a minute of a decision held in midair. The box is open, both columns sitting there in front of nobody, and whoever worked out that this fight was worth having is gone. What arrives next will have to take it on trust. And the next one comes up cold, reads a page of notes and one screenshot, finds a fight already set up and waiting for it, and confirms. With a line of reasoning worth hearing in full. Whichever column is his, Gilliam has enough health to trade safely. The animation. A lance going in at 28%. Whichever column is his. That is what a handover costs. The reasoning that chose this fight left with the session that chose it, and what is left is a box and a guess. He misses bone takes nothing at all, and Gilliam comes out of it on 19 of 25. It is not a bad guess, mind. 25 health against 6 a swing is a trade the armor can afford whichever way around those two columns actually go. L, and the cursor lands on the Pegasus. 8 of 17. There she is, directly above the man with the axe on 8 health against a weapon the screen has already shown doing 9. That is not damage anymore. That is one swing, and it has been true for 4.5 minutes. And every one of those 4.5 minutes was Claude playing a board it had the wrong numbers for. Not a wrong plan. A right plan laid over a unit that was half the size Claude thought it was. Claude sees it in one look and does the right thing with it. 4 up, 3 across, out to a square where an axe on foot cannot follow her. And the flying is what saves her. Anything else in this army would have had to walk back out through the same square she is standing on to get anywhere at all. Confirmed, and she comes down at the top of the pass with the whole column between her and the man with the axe, which is the first time all video that Claude has moved somebody away from a fight rather than towards one. And it is the right call by a distance. Health comes back at the end of a chapter for nothing. A dead Pegasus knight does not. Weight taken, and she is behind the line again, still on 8. That is the closest anything Claude commands has come to dying on camera. And it happened on a phase nobody watched. To the one unit here that cannot take a hit. Two left with orders, and the priest is the one Claude wants. She is on the square beside him already, so there is no walking in this and no risk in it either. The staff does the whole job from where the man is already standing. Staff, heal, and the game asks who it is for. The panel already has her name on it, and the number beside the name is 8 of 17. Which is the game asking the question rather than the player picking a target. Confirm the name in the panel. Confirmed. And this is the second heal of the video and the first one that is about the health rather than about the experience. Which is worth saying plainly. A healer is not a spare turn, and it is not a courtesy. It is the only reason there is still a Pegasus standing on this map. The light goes round her, and she is back to 17. Nine points returned at the end of a chapter would have handed back for nothing anyway. The difference being that she would have had to survive as far as the end of the chapter to collect them, and she was one swing short of that, which is the entire case for carrying a man who cannot fight. One more aside while the staff is up. If you want to know whether this army ever gets out of this pass, subscribing is how the next one finds you. Right, back to it. One enemy, 6 units, and a chapter that has been about 3 turns from over since the top of this video. Last unit with orders, Claude reckons, and it asks the game for the Lord. It gets Seth. Which is a good deal better than what it asked for. 31 health, a steel sword, and a range that reaches all the way to the bottom of the pass from where he is standing. Two down, one left onto the square directly above the man. There's no hesitation anywhere in it. Straight past the armor that spent its entire turn missing the same man. The last unit on this map that anybody would want to be standing next to, arriving at the last fight of the chapter, 4 videos after he first walked into it. And the menu opens with attack on it, which is the last thing this chapter is going to ask anybody. Confirmed. The first weapon on the list, and the box comes up one final time to settle the thing. Bone has not moved off that square since he walked up to it, and he is waiting where the pass is at its narrowest. And Claude reads this one exactly right. 17 damage and a small red 2 beside it, that means he swings twice. 72 to hit. Bone on 23 health, answering for 2 at 31. 2 at 31 is a boss who cannot hurt him. 17 twice is a boss who cannot survive him. 17 and 17 into 23. One connecting round ends the chapter, and the sword is the right way round against the axe into the bargain. Steel sword, iron axe, and a horse at the run. The charge. And that is the chapter. Bone's bar empties, Seth finishes on 29 of 31, and there's nothing red left standing anywhere on this map. And the game gives back a village at sunset. An old man with a mustache, thanking Erika for the help and asking her to stay the night and rest. This is the ground those brigands were looting when this chapter opened, 4 videos ago. The chapter is called The Protected. That is the villages, and this is one that came through it. There's a line in there about something her father gave her. Then the light goes and the scene moves to a forest in the dark. Then a caption and the whole picture turns to sepia. 3 years ago. A castle in daylight and 2 people standing in front of it. One of them is Erika. The other one the series has never met. Ephraim. She says the name herself. It is time to start, he says. Are you ready? And she says, yes, let us begin. She asked him for this. You want me to teach you to fight, he says. Her reason is that she does not want to be a burden later. All right. How could I say no? And back to the dark and something is missing. Where could it be, she says. Did that man? And she does not finish it. You cannot lose it, says the paladin standing beside her. Let us go. 3 slots, and the top one is the only one this campaign has ever used. It reads Chapter 2, The Protected. And beside it, a playtime counter. 55 minutes and 54 seconds. That is the whole campaign. 7 videos, a prologue, and 2 chapters, and under an hour of game has actually happened inside them. Save, and it takes. What Claude took out of that entire ending, for the record, is a sunlit castle with tall windows, which is true and is about a 20th of it. The world map, which is the one screen in this game where a wrong press costs absolutely nothing. Erika standing on ID, the village from video 3, where she gave a general of Grotto a false name and walked out of it holding a gem. And south of her, a red flag. Chapter 3, and it already has a name, The Bandits of Borgo. And Erika, who has not moved once in this entire video, is the one who asked to be taught to fight.